extra sprints. Okay, give me for 2 more money for 2 more extra sprints. We'll add this to backlog. Well, if you're saying no, well, then practically you have to remove the user stories from the backlog, which is worth this 20 user stories. Remove the items, we'll replace it. So my risk is safeguarded by the way it's working, the process of working. And second part is that we don't work for that long. We have a short duration cycle. We do the job. The risk is less. So whatever feedback, what max I could do is 2 weeks damage. I would do that. And I will be able to correct myself. So it's not like I will wait for so long. It can be instantly corrected. And we will be able to understand, sit down with the product owner. You gave us this definition of dev done. My team did this job, and you saying now it's not acceptable. Help us understand. The correction is very fast in Agile. So my risk is by default covered. It's not like it'll be like we have to wait for 6 months to get to know. No, we'll sit down and say, well, you gave us DOD. We did the job as per that. Our understanding is we followed DOD. You say no. Let us understand why. So we'll have that easy correction. It's a way the process works, the iterative and incremental approach. It will cover it up. So we don't have a separate hassle of doing this in a different way. Having said that, while you're dealing with this, you will be constantly required to review the reserves, which is budget. So you must be coming across certain risk factors, and you would be utilizing the contingency reserve budget, which you have kind of kept reserved for yourself. So keep looking at it. How much have you spent? How much is left? Because you have to keep in mind, if you're not left with adequate, then you have to raise a change request and with a justification why you have spent more money and more. You got to tell, like, based on our anticipation, we probably thought that this would be enough. Probably the actual, when its risk happened, we ended up spending more because this was a bigger one that we expect. So I will have to have my justification. So I have to constantly keep an eye. Do I have sufficient contingency reserve to manage it? And yes, if needed, there is an unexpected risk which has happened. For that, I will not pick up contingency reserve. I will be asking for management reserve, because the contingency reserve is for identified risk. All the identified risks, we have contingency reserve. So an unidentified risk happens, I will go and raise a change request for management to release the management reserve, because I will not pick up, because I have funds available, but that's meant for the identified ones, not for the unidentified. So I'll have to do this throughout. And yes, look at this. May be communicated with a burn down chart. We already discussed cost can be used through a burn down chart. This is the total contingency reserve and how this is the plan. And like, we'll see how we are going as per the we can do a burn down chart to communicate how fast you're depleting the funds. That can be used. The reserve to kind of observe whether it's working as per the plan or we are ahead of that. Accordingly, I can raise a change request to replenish the rate. But again, you have to have justification, the reasonable justification. So risk register, in case of predictive, we by default have the risk register. We have all that job to be done. But in case of Agile, we don't have. We'll see. We do plan. We plan in predictive. We do all that planning and all that stuff is done. But in Agile, it's on the go. We have a discussion. There are multiple ways you deal with it. You have the daily meetings. You'll be having the daily stand-ups during the reviews, during the retrospective. So we have a discussion, and all this can be displayed through information radiator. So we have this option, but we don't sit down and prepare. You can, using the information radiator, you can prepare a risk list. A risk list, which is a very narrow list. You don't prepare an exhaustive one, but it's on the go, on the move. We don't sit down and plan. We are doing the job. What we come across, we as impediments, we can kind of display through the information radiator and so these are the outstanding ones which are going on. So everyone knows through information radiator, these are the current ones which we are dealing with. But we don't sit down and plan a risk thing. It's already as a part of the process. So again, because it's on the go, I can't plan for something which the things are going to change. So I'm doing the job, I face the problem, I do solve them, and I am having a discussion almost every day, and then at like those intervals also, which other ceremonies. So it is there. But again, we prefer to use, if we want to use, we will use a very small, like a risk list, which is that what we discussed today, and this is displayed. That's still, this is still unaddressed. And there, the risk part, the Scrum Master will come into picture, because Scrum Master's one core job is to remove the impediments for the team, because Scrum Master is there only for the team. So if something is going to bother the team, the Scrum Master will pitch in and try to solve those problems. So that the Scrum Master will also be responsible here to involve and solve the problem. Pick one, impediments. This all term issues is with the predictive, impediment is with the Agile. I will look at it. These terms are like all synonymous, different PIMBOK, older PIMBOKs called it something. Now they have kind of mentioned it clearly. Impediments, blockers, all are synonyms, and obstacles, all synonyms. So they're all the same, which is stopping the team to do the job. So the term we talk about as predictive, in predictive one, we call it issue. A negative thing which has happened is issue. Impediment is used as in agile. So predictive term uses issue log. Adaptive thing is using impediment log. This impediment is related to agile, and predictive, same thing is called issue. They are both negative in nature. We know this part, risk is a positive or negative risk can be risk. And we create a risk response, we have a risk register. But if something negative has happened, then you call it as an issue. And there is a risk because now it's no longer a risk. It has happened. So we have to solve it. We have to have a response. It's called as workaround because now you have to fix it. We have to find a workaround to solve the problem because it has happened. It will always be negative. Guidelines, resolution, you will have an issue log. Have a quick look at it. There's an issue log template. Is it formal? No. You customize yours, but this is pretty much covers every important element which we generally see in an issue log, like some sort of ID created for issue log. What is the issue? When it was identified? When it's expected to get completed? What's the priority level? Who is handling it? What is the response basically? What is the current status? And if there are any comments, well, you want to add something else, please add something else. It's a sample of your issue. You can just customize as feedback. A half an hour, keep 30 questions and try to solve 30 questions within that half an hour. 1 minute per question is what you can afford. Complete the examination. And customer satisfaction, those kind of things would be intangible values, which are we're talking about. Well, again, that can be measured through some sort of survey which can be done. But again, this will be more about how much money, how many resources, all those things can be quantified. So we look for a long-term, short-term benefit. We also try to understand how that will be quantified, whether you will be getting in case of dollars, a number of hours or number of people, or would you be getting some sort of percentage of commission, how that will be measured, who will be benefiting from this benefits management, because project will be over. Who is supposed to get this benefit? How long will this benefit be done? How this will be tracked, whether you're getting the benefit after the project. Well, what kind of reports will be done? What kind of risk factors will be there which can stop this benefit? So all that has to be discovered as per the part of benefits. So bottom line, you're going to get some money, ideally some money and some benefit after the project. So you have to keep in mind how that will be tracked because the project is getting over. So you have to set up the process here. Who will track it? Who will be benefiting? Who will be getting it? Like how long you will be getting it? How it will be quantified? What kind of report? What will be the frequency? What may result in the termination of benefits? All those things will be discussed. Look at this benefits one. So who will be benefiting? This is more about like a predictive, technically the business and like not business, but a sponsor will be getting the benefit. And there could be some additional add-on beneficiaries which can be there. Here it's only the product owner who benefits. If there is a additional add-on benefits we're getting, so they will reap the benefits for the organization. Anyone who is a beneficiary who will benefit from the benefits management, technically who's the owner of the project. So verify, well, that was, we were talking about exactly, let's come here. Choose the metrics, how it will be reported, basically how it will be reported, like what kind of reports will be published for that, like what kind of intangible benefits which can be there, how will it, like what, and in moreover, when they're subjective, we can generally use a survey kind of thing to quantify, like a customer survey, satisfaction survey for us was 7 out of 10. Now it's like 9 out of 10, which has improved. So that kind of thing. For reporting, how would you show that the benefits are still being met? Any risk to that benefit? If in case there is a negative impact on the benefit, and probably when it will be ending. All in all, there can be a lot of things which can be used or included in planning about the benefits which will be there. So all in all, I need to make sure that benefits which will be getting, who gets it, how long, how it will be reported, who will track it, and if there is something which can go wrong, which can terminate the benefit earlier, or can be anything which can be discussed. So there's additional work which will be happening after the project is done. And last piece we'll be doing this, but knowledge transfer. But like every document that you prepare a lessons learned document, because in case of Agile, you do the retrospectives, and in case of in predictive, you do a final lessons learned document pretty much. You do project retrospective. At the end of like at sprint, you do sprint retrospective. At the end of project, you do a project retrospective in Agile. In case of predictive, you do lessons learned document, you do meetings with them, you archive the information, you finalize your lessons learned register, and you add it to the main repository, which is that project management office. You add it to the master database, and this information, when we do during the closing, you do the transition of knowledge from the project team to the customer also, which is we talk about the knowledge transfer, knowledge like a frequently asked sheet, troubleshooting guides, training the staff. That is also done. And then while you're doing this, preparing the closing documents. So you'll be preparing some sort of document, which is basically the project closure report. So you will be required to, let's quickly have a look at it. Conduct retrospective. In case of Agile, when the work is done, pretty much when the work is completed for this person, capture the key successes and challenges, how people, like qualitative feeling of the team, how they felt about this project, quantitative, if they have some velocity related figures or for the work performance data, like for that matter, you had this burn down chart, like any kind of quantitative data that you might have looked at, and like look at the challenges we faced here, how we've solved the problem. That will help us for the next slide when you start the project. Congratulations, motivate the team members, good job done. This is from Agile perspective. In case of predictive, we like in Agile, we have a final retrospective done. But in case of predictive, we have like a panel meeting. We just clap for everyone. Congratulations done for all the people, because these people will be gone. So yes, I want to appreciate people for the good work they have done. And finally, we end the project by saying goodbye to everyone, basically, because everyone's effort made it possible. So finally, you have your lessons learned document created for everything that you've learned. You're not just documenting right now, you're sort of summarizing, because you have always been documenting lessons learned. So about whatever things you were important for you, from the related to scope, schedule impacts, risk related things, stakeholder relationships, vendor relationships, artifacts, like anything that you were working on throughout the project, you have been documenting you're not just documenting now, you have been documenting trends every day. Every day you are documenting this lessons learned. Now you're sort of consolidating it. That's it. You're not doing a fresh document right now, you're consolidating it. And this is how your lessons learned will look like. Practically, you will be looking at some elements related to scheduling, conflict, how you manage, celebrated. So it is more about, again, lessons learned. You will see there will be some sort of template that you will get from your organization. And every organization, we've seen numerous versions of this. So again, which kind of template you have given by your project management office, you will be filling that form basically based on your learnings. You'll just go and fill up the form and then merge it with the lessons learned report. This is a master database, which is with the project management office. They will keep the document, but by what man, your job is done. You prepare a final report, and there is a final report template, which is there given by the project management office, which has all the forms, the description. You have to fill in how was the project done, scope related activities, quality related activities you did. So basic summary of everything that you did over the project, how the risks were encountered, what kind of benefits were there, what kind of schedule objectives, everything which will be a report. This document will be given by them and will vary from company. So all in all, you have to fill in the final report and just hand it over. Your job will be over. This is typically the last. So quick check on this one. If it's anything which needs more clarity on this section here, we can talk about it. Else we will discuss about the exam part of it, like the things which we have to cover up from exam perspective. Well, just a quick discussion. Any question on this element of lessons learned? Talking about a quick one. I'm just going to go back to this page. Best of luck, everyone. Yes, absolutely. So, well, here is pretty much what we just generally try to keep it that simple, which works for everyone. We're not trying to count on the things which somebody gets lucky. See, since you have gone through this entire thing, pretty much you have spent all this while, you have an idea about what is it all about. I would highly recommend to not go through the entire recording. Please don't, because it's not advised, like no one makes to go through entire recording once. But you have recorded slides. I hope everyone has those recorded slides. These are the ones which you have. So just scan through those recorded slides, because you have 6 seconds or 7 seconds delay in every slide. Just scan through the slides. On each slide, just try to see, do you understand the content there? Because we don't have to memorize it. Just look at the slide and see whatever content is there. So just, you might have to play the recording, just see, okay, just pause the slide and see whatever content is there. Do you understand the content? or you have some clarity required about the market. So if you need it, just connect with me on that one. So, but again, what I say is just go and talk, like scan through the document, whatever is there on the slide, and see if you understand that or not. That's what is required. So scan through all the slides that you have, the recorded ones. Yes, Diana, please go ahead. Diana, please go ahead. You have questions.
Yeah. Hi. Okay. For the final report, sir, the last topic that you discussed,
Right.
final report, we sit down with the vendor and we both agree this is the final report and we both basically
No,
sign. Is
not
that how
one-
it goes for the final report? The
No.
closure? You
No,
sit
not
down
with me.
and get the signatures? No?
Not with the vendor. Like it's what you're doing. You're submitting it because the vendors would have been released already. See the vendors' job. Whenever the work was done, we would have looked at the vendors' work. We would have checked with the acceptance criteria. Work was have been completed. I would have said, okay, when it's done, I would have already released the vendor. This is why I'm submitting report to my manager. The final report, not with the vendor. It's my report to the manager that is project is.
Okay. To the manager or to the product owner?
Yeah, absolutely. To the company, like so, like whether the vendor's job, I would have already handled throughout the project. So if the vendor would have would have done the job, I would have checked it as per acceptance criteria. If the vendor would have done a satisfactory job, I would have said, okay, now this guy's job is okay. I would have informed the procurement team that this vendor's job is finished. If the customer has accepted all the deliverables, we can release this back. So pretty much, I would have done this job already. So this work is my project summary, not this vendor.
Okay. And sir, about this PMP training right now that we have this extension. Is this, first of all, are we going to get a certificate about the hours that we accumulated here?
That's what I'm going to be discussing here. So that's what we are discussing now.
Thank you.
So, okay, first thing first, we have this recorded slides. Once you complete them, just scan through all the slides at least. Have a look at these slides, because I won't recommend watching this entire 35 hours of video once again. But again, watch your slides and just see that if you need any clarity on the slide, that's one. From exam preparation perspective. After that, it's more about storybook reading, which is, I would say, PMBOK 7, PMBOK Agile, the practice guide, practice process guide, and the Agile practice guide. Read it as storybook. Again, please keep this in mind. There's nothing to memorize here. It's more about understanding. You already know the content. It's more about now scanning through those documents and having an understanding of the document. That's it. Once you've done it from a learning perspective, all that job is done. Whatever you need to know in terms of acquiring knowledge is done. A, you've gone through the entire training. B, you have scanned the slides once again. C, you have gone ahead and scanned all documents once. Now, after this, it's more about practice only. A PMP examination is 25% of learning, 75% of practicing exam questions. This is race against time that you're dealing with. So all we have to do is practice. So I've already shared Rita Mulkey version 11. Please read this. This is more concepts are there in the Rita Mulkey 11 and less questions are there. But since it's the updated version and aligned with the PMBOK, like the exam content outline, I would recommend reading this first. These are very less questions, but the concepts are very well written there. Understand that. And then the primary question bank, which is this version 10. It has got plenty of questions, and I'm sure if you have checked that, there are plenty of questions in the Rita Mulkey. Do at least 3 times at least, because the book, if you read it, it tells you have to read this Rita Mulkey, solve the questions 3 times. Book will itself tell you that there are 3 times you have to scan the book to complete the examination, and that's when you know you're ready for it. And then finally, the exam prep questions, which are clone questions given by PMI. So I just want to open up this document. I hope you all recall that these are the files I'm talking about. These are already put down in the downloadable folder. So if you recall that there's a question set, which is there in Excel file, this question set is the exam preparation question you have with the book. Let me just open up the Google Drive. Rather, it will be easier to communicate and talk about it. Like so, all this material that we're talking about, it's right here. So if you have downloaded the training material from the exam prep material, you have all these links with you, all the files that we're talking about. Just complete all of it from this, let's say. Every file that we talked about. So A, you have Rita Mulkey 10, Rita Mulkey 11, you got process good practice guide, you got PMBOK 7, you got Agile practice guide, and these are the exam questions. All the similar questions before will always give you an upper edge. So the question answer starts from here. And this is where 3 times at least this one, and then 3 times at least this one, this is what you're supposed to do. So A is a mock test. You can practice some more. Clone questions, practice some more. Mock test again, practice some more. And the final exam that you have to give for IMC is this one. This one, when you pass this, you'll get the 35 hours training certificate, which should not be a big deal. It's a very easy one. But let's say 1 hour exam, 50 questions, same which is there. You have downloaded this material from this Google Drive? Have you downloaded all the material?
No.
If I would be you, I'll be preparing this. That's what I just want. And I would not get into 10 different content because that's there's something which is coming.
Do they give us any free material in PMI?
Hey people, good evening everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and we can start the session now. All right, so what did we learn yesterday? One second. Huh? We talked about lean. That what is the lean? What are the 5 steps of implementation of lean? What is value add, non-value add, and necessary non-value add, and what do we do with these activities? Then we understood these 3M, Muda, Mura, and Muri, and 8 type of waste. Then we learn about what is the just-in-time or just-in-case, and why we should have the just-in-time in place of just-in-case. We understood what is the Mura or variation with this example, and understood that how do we calculate the variation in the form of standard deviation. We talked about the takt time, another lean technique, how to understand that how much work we can complete or how many resources we need in case we know what is the takt time and we know the cycle time. Then we learn about what is sigma, level of any process, and how the Six Sigma has started through this process. We understood what is the long-term and short-term sigma, and these are the 2 formulas in Excel we have learned, which convert any sigma to the percentage or any percentage to the sigma level. Then we learn about the DPMO, which is defect per million opportunities. First, we understood the difference between defect and defective. With this example, we learn about how to differentiate between defect and defective. And now today we'll talk about the GDOCA. So we learn about the DPMO calculation as well. What is the DPU, DPO, DPMO, quality or sigma level. Now, I'm ready to take any question from any one of you. In case you can type your question in the chat box, great. If you don't have a question or maybe you feel difficulty to type in the chat box, please raise your hand and I'll answer your question. Okay. Ask me, please.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Just one question regarding the short-term and long-term sigma. There's one condition that if management tells us to lean the process to 6 sigma level, whether it will be a long-term sigma and what we will be using throughout the process, whether we will be using 7.5 or 6 sigma.
Great question. So it all depends on what you calculate. Because when it comes to the calculation of sigma, all the formulas are designed to calculate the long term. There is no formula to calculate short term. And once you have the long term and adding into 1.5, it will become the short term. So as yesterday we were discussing, you all were telling this is the yield we receive at 6 sigma level, or this is the DPMO we get at 6 sigma level. So basically this is not 6 sigma, this value is converted to the 4.5 sigma. And we assume if we continue the process in the same way, there is a chance that we can achieve 6 sigma level, which means we can add 1.5 into this. So that will be the answer to your question in case somebody is asking that it is short term or long term, or we want to achieve 6 sigma. So you will say, boss, we can calculate sigma. Everything is calculated as a long term. And if we add 1.5 into this, that will become the short term, which is just assumption, but actual performance you calculate in the long term only.
Okay.
Sir,
Thank you.
clear, sir?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Munem, why we are using n+1? Because this is the way statistics do us. Statistics is defined in such a way that you are looking for the short term or looking for the long term. So whenever you calculate short term, generally we take short term as a small data set. And a small data set, we always divide with all the values instead of 1 minus 1. But long-term data is the large number in terms of the count. So either you are dividing with the n or n minus 1 really doesn't matter. That's the reason statisticians decided that short term, whenever you have a small data set, then we'll be having n minus 1. And if it's all the data we are doing, then we'll be dividing by the n. Okay. Asad, in standard deviation, final calculation means we use this formula stdev.s. So like as if you see in this column, I use this formula stdev.s and selected all the numbers. So this formula is telling you that how much is the variation in your process in form of a standard deviation. All right. Clear? Any more question, people? So now let's talk about one more term, jidoka or pokeyoke. So these are the two Japanese terms. One is jidoka and second is pokeyoke. Jidoka, you will say partial automation. Or this is sometimes called as an automation or automation with human touch, which means process is automated. But in case there is anything comes into the process, which means any defect or something, right? Right? So what will happen? Your process will stop or machine will stop to avoid producing any defect. So example, let's say you have electricity at your home, correct? And if there is a fluctuation in the electricity, so you all have MCB at home, right? So your MCB will trip. This is called, power cut will happen if there is a fluctuation is happening in the electricity, and then MCB will trip. If MCB trip, so power will cut, and you have to go manually back to the wherever your electricity distribution board is there in the home. You will switch it on back, and then only electricity will resume. So this is the automation with the human touch, which means there is a process is partially automated. It will not allow for any defect to occur. As the process will miss the specification, it will automatically stop and there will not be any defect. but it will not switch on or it will not start automatically until there is a manual intervention. While the POK is the full automation. Full automation is also called as an automation, so there is no human touch needed. So I was giving the example of the electricity supply, let's say. So when you have a manual circuit breaker at home, then it's a partial automation or automation with the human touch. And when it's a full automation, then suppose you are putting up a stabilizer. So what will happen if there is electricity fluctuation? Then a stabilizer will automatically adjust the watt you set or how much is the supply you set, and it will release that much of supply only. So this is the full automation, and that's the difference between the JIDOKA and the POK. So why we use this? Because many of the process, wherever the manual intervention is needed or there is a chance of defect or anything is happen, so we automate those processes. And if the automation is there, then those processes will deliver the better accuracy and better productivity. Right? Question. Anyone? Okay. There is a one more term in lean, which is called 5S. I'm sure you people must have heard about. So learning 5S will take hardly 4 or 5 minutes. I can explain you. But when you go and implement 5S, it will take many months to implement. Puneet, question is, what are the uses of JIDOKA and POK? So why do we do automation, Puneet? To prevent the defect. So you are putting a stabilizer at your home. Why? Because in case electricity fluctuate, then your electrical or the electronic item should be safe. They should not get damaged, right? That's the reason we use this. So we wanted to prevent our process. We wanted to prevent our machine. We wanted to prevent the output from any defect or generating into the defective. That's the reason we use the JIDOKA and the POK. So 5S is a Japanese concept. And this we use for workplace improvement. How we can keep our workplace spick and span, neat and clean and tidy. This is the 5S concept for the workplace improvement. So why we call 5S? Because there is a 5 words which start with the S in a series. In Japanese, we call S stand for Siri, Seton, Siso, Siketsu, and Sitsuke. These are the 5 words. What is the meaning of that if I translate into English? So Siri means shorting. Shorting means you have only one objective when you are entering to the workplace. Either some of the item you need or you don't need. So whatever is the need that you know, the first question you will ask when you look at any article or any item, that you need it or you don't need it. Right? Right? So if you need it, then you keep them. If you don't need, immediately you remove them from there. So that I left with the item what only need. Now, as per the need, I will be doing the segregation of those items, which means arrangement as per need. Some of the item you need daily, some you need hourly, some you need weekly, monthly, like this. Typically, when you prepare the report and you have an Excel format of the data, so the data what you need daily, probably you will be keeping on the desktop, and what you need on the weekly or monthly, you will be keeping in the some shared drive or maybe in the D drive or C drive. Generally, we do this, right? So the regular item which we are using, everything will keep on the desktop only. Similar way, if you look at your kitchen, right? So the tea item or maybe the coffee item, these things you will be keeping in a reach of one hand, probably. And when you are looking for the lunch item or dinner item, probably that will be kept in the maybe some other drawers, right? We do like this. And the similar way, the items which is fast moving at your home or maybe in the office or anywhere, you will keep them in the first reach, arrange them because they are frequently used. And as per the use of frequency, which is the item which is not frequently you are using, you will keep them and maybe little away. You will do the arrangement. Yes, OS. OS Khatri, you have question?
Yes, I just need clarification. Sorting is actually doing segregation of needed or don't needed items. And when we say segregation, that means the items we need, we are further sorting them according to our needs.
Yes. You are right.
First, we eliminate the not needed items, that is sorting. And the items we need, we have collected those already, and then we further sort them according to our need. That's what segregation means, right?
Yes, yes. Absolutely. As per use or as per need, we will be arranging them.
Okay.
Okay. Jishan, you have a question?
Yes, a very short question. As long as the sit-down is the meaning is concerned, in Japanese is to keep in order. So I think if we go with this meaning, it's very easier to understand. Is it okay?
No, it's okay. You can write your notes, whatever the way you want to understand, you can write. Ultimately, this is arrangement or as per the segregation, as per the need only. You're doing the orderness. It's a different meaning. I'm just trying to explain you with the S only. That's starting with the S. Nothing
Thank you.
else.
Thank you.
No problem. Now, shisho means in English we call as in sign. Sign means neat and clean. Everything whatever we have, arrangement is done as per the use. We will be keeping them neat and clean. Right? So, we have done sorting, we have arranged them, we have done the neat and clean, everything perfectly a place for everything. And next thing is the standardization. Here we apply a technique PEEP. PEEP means a place for everything and everything on its place. This is what we do. There is a place for everything and everything on its place. So you have identified a designated area for each and every item, and each and every item we are keeping at its own place only. Perfectly neat and clean, properly labeled and everything. This is what we do in the standardization. And the last one is the sustain, which means we are making a habit of maintaining 5S, previous S. So you will do the audit, cross audit, regular check and everything, that all the first 4S are maintained well or not. So we'll make sure that all the first 4S are very well maintained. This is what we do in the 5S. Okay. So the next thing I should explain you about some of the quality theories. Let's talk about the Kanban as well first, and we'll finish up this lean part. Kanban basically talks about the signaling, and it's a technique for inventory management as per the use. Now people use this as a project management technique because mostly people work in the IT industries. But still, if you are working in the manufacturing, especially this is started from the again Toyota Motor Company, that when they are doing the assembly, and if any part is short, so they used to pass the signal by using a rope and the well. So basically, at that time there was no telephone, no walkie-talkie. And when you are signaling something to someone, especially to the stores, right? So they have a rope tied from the production floor to the stores, and they will just pull the rope, and the stores, that is the bell is there in the store, that will ring. That means there is a signal. Later this concept came to the board, and now this concept came to the Excel or the project management technique. So what do we do in the Kanban? You have 3 stages of inventory management. You have a to-do list, you have ongoing list, and then you have a completed. These are the 3 types of tasks we have. Every project will have this. So maybe when you are starting a project, at the start, you have many tasks that you have to complete. Task A, task B, task C, or maybe let's say task D. Correct? Now, when you are a project manager, so you will assign these tasks. Let's say I'll say task E as well. And if you take the total count of these tasks are 5. Right? Now you have these 5 tasks to complete. So altogether, if you say total, you have these 5 tasks. Now, when you are assigning the task to any of the team member, they will be working on that. Suppose you assign the task B to someone, so this task will come here and it will move from this place. So total tasks are 5. Out of 5, 4 are still in the to-do list and 1 is ongoing. Maybe you have assigned the task to one of the other team member, let's say task D. So this will move from the to do and it will come to the ongoing. So now you know there are total 5 tasks, 3 are to do, 2 are ongoing. Maybe one of the tasks somebody has picked up and they have completed. So now out of total 5 tasks was there, 2 are still in the to-do list, 2 are ongoing, and 1 is completed. So this is the technique basically that helps you to visualize the total task, how many we have, what is the stage of each task, like as how many are in the to-do, how many are ongoing, and how many of them are completed. Very popular technique, especially in the project management. So many of the people uses this, right? And when you are a project manager and you have so many things which you need to complete, so you can assign them through this, like this. That is the Kanban technique. Any question, people, you can ask me, does the word Kanban mean signal? Yes. So Kanban in Japanese means signals. So you have a signal, like as you have the 5 tasks, suppose ongoing are these and completed is this. As somebody is completing the task, you can assign them the another task. That's the signal. Originally started from the stores, moved to the manufacturing, and now in the project management as well. Any question, people? Now the next T, I will explain you about the quality theories. Is just good to know. You can use this in the e-commerce industry. Like as Puneet, you have the 50 purchase order you have to create. You are a manager in the supply chain and you have the 50 purchase order which need to be created. Out of these 50 purchase order, now how many of the purchase order, who is doing, how many are still to do pending list, how many are ongoing which somebody is creating, and how many of them completed. So you can clearly visualize whenever somebody is working on any of the purchase order, they can easily see this. Or you can easily see as a project manager that if I have to create total 50 tasks I have, out of 50, how many is work in progress and how many are completed. Like this, we can use it. All right. Yes, Bilal.
Yeah. Sir, does it handle dependencies or does it address dependencies between the tasks?
There is a possibility, there is a dependency as well. And then if you are dependent on someone, person is not available and all, and task is important, so you can assign it to someone as well, some other person.
Is it managed manually? I think I've been using Kanban. It's mostly I've been using it manually, the managing dependency manually. So
Yes, we do that. All right. So we can assign activity line items in their 3 categories. We have the first category when we start. Okay, these are the activities we are supposed to do. Then out of this, you will assign some activity which will reach into the ongoing, like as some or the other one is working on this. And once these ongoing, maybe you are completing 1 or 2 tasks, so that will be shown here in the completed. Suppose you are starting total 50. Out of 50, as of now, when you started, everything you have to complete. Maybe you have a 5 team member and 5 of the task they are working. So 5 will be ongoing and 45 will be in the pending. Once one or the other you are completing, so those will be shown in the completed. Whatever the balance is there in the to do, and in case any of the task is ongoing, all the work in progress, that will be shown here. So we can clearly visualize that. Like as you go now to some of the places, maybe bank and all, in case you are visiting, and they will do the token system, right? So in the token system, what will happen? You can easily visualize that if your number is 20 and current number is 10 is running or 12 is running or 15 is running, that how many tasks more to complete it by the time you will reach to the window. That's a signaling, that's a Kanban as well. So according to that, you can plan your activity, like as how much time it will take and so on, you can do it easily. All right. Okay, so now we'll talk about the quality theories. These are the quality theories, and why do we learn this? Because there are some famous quality pioneers. After doing so much of research and everything, they came to the conclusion and suggested the best practices for us. So one of them is Juran, Joseph M. Juran, Japanese quality pioneer. He said that whenever we work on any activity or any process improvement, generally we people do a mistake. We directly jump into the quality improvement. Instead, we should start first with the quality planning. You plan the task what you are supposed to complete. Then you achieve the bare minimum expected from that process, which is called as a quality control. Like as you are maintaining the minimum expected level from the process. And once the minimum expected level is there in the process, then we look for the quality improvement. Because without any plan, without your process is not even delivering the minimum expected level, and you directly jump into the improvement, so you will be wasting your unnecessary effort. So some of the basics should be in place, and those basics should come from the plan only. Then only we should do the quality improvement in the process. This is what Juran said. And this is a very famous terminology or very famous technique or very famous ideology from the Joseph M. Juran. What he do? Right? So he says, before you jump into any improvement directly, first, you do the plan for the improvement, then achieve the bare minimum expected level from that process, and then you will go for the improvement of that. Similar way, there was a W. Edwards Deming. He also suggested something for the improvement when you are looking for. And he says this is the Deming cycle, also called as a Kaizen cycle. Or this is also called cycle for the continuous improvement. Right? So this is called Kaizen cycle or Deming cycle, or the cycle for the continuous improvement. What it says, Deming suggested there are 4 stages for any process improvement. When we start any process improvement, first we make a plan for the improvement. Then we do the execution of that plan. Then we check either we are achieving the expected level or not. And if achieving or not achieving, we will take the action accordingly. So we do plan, do, check, and act. This is what called your Deming cycle. Any activity you are doing, you plan for that, then you execute the plan, then check either after execution you have achieved the target value or not, and then you will be taking your action accordingly. That's called plan, do, check, act. There is something called Taguchi loss function, which was discovered by Mr. Genichi Taguchi. He simply says that specifications for any process or product are good. We should have, but should be as narrow as possible. He suggested if you are delivering something to the customer, so then your internal specification, generally we have only customer specification in any process. So he suggested that we should have the internal specification as well. And internal specification should be narrower than customer specification. He suggested that we should have the internal specification, and internal specification should be narrower than the customer specification. Example, suppose you are making any product And product dimension is, let's say, maybe you have a 10 centimeter and plus or minus 1 centimeter, which means you will try to reach from 9, maintaining average 10 and the 11 on the other side. In case there is a variation, like as many of the product you are manufacturing, I will take the example when I will explain you the process capability. And when you are just trying to meet the specification, there is a chance in case any product you miss, that will be out of specification and the customer complaint will come. So what Taguchi suggested, he said, if your specification is 10 plus or minus 1, instead of maintaining 10 plus or minus 1, you have the specification like as, this was the case, 10 plus or minus 1. This is your external specification, what the customer is asking. So internally, you must have like a 10 plus or minus, let's say, maybe 0.5. So that you will trying to maintain not lower than 9.5 and not more than 10.5. So that in case any time you are at the borderline or maybe missing something, at least you will meet the customer specification and your product, all the services, all the complaint will not come, all the product will not be rejected. This is what suggested by Taguchi, and it's a valid technique as well, because many a time when you are producing any of the product or services, right? And we always say what customer is asking, we should deliver that. And we our internal specification, we set as same as customer specification. And many a time, those specifications we will miss and customer complaint will come. But if you are setting up the internal specification tighter or narrower than the customer specification, then what will happen? We will try to meet all the internal specification and it is obvious, then we'll meet the customer specification in most of the cases. Muhammad Salman, if it comes with the extra cost, still it is better than getting the lot rejected from the customer side. That will save your market reputation and the scrap rate if it is coming with the extra cost. Okay. Another thing which was explained by one of the quality pioneers, his name was Philip Crosby. Philip Crosby explained us COQ. COQ stands for cost of quality. He says that quality is free. Is that true, people, for you? Is the quality free? Answer is yes, quality is free. Whenever you are buying a product or service, suppose from the market, give me the answer honestly. Do you pay for the quality or do you pay for the product? I think we are paying for the product. And when we are paying for the product, we are expecting that product should meet the quality expectation. If you go and buy a mobile phone from the market, or let's say you are ordering, I was talking about in the DPMO that you are ordering for a shirt. If you are order for a shirt, you have decided, okay, these are the attribute what I am looking for. So you paid for the shirt. You did not pay for the attribute separately. And you are expecting when you are paying for a shirt, then it is obvious that your shirt should meet all of these attribute and specification. If any of the specification is missing, suppose size here, will it fit for you? Answer is no. It's not a quality product. And then your struggle will start. You will ask for the refund. You will ask for the replacement. You will call the customer care. You will place an order. You will wait for another 2, 3, 4 days. So all these additional effort, whatever you are putting up, this is what you are paying for the poor quality. Otherwise, for the product you already paid. So we always pay for the product, not for the quality. Quality should be complementary with the product for the cost we have paid, but any additional effort we are putting up to maintain the quality, that is called your cost of quality. I hope it should be clear now. Any doubt, you can raise your hand. So he said, in case we are paying for the cost of quality can be divided into two parts. It is a cost of good quality, which means what we are doing to prevent the defect to occur is called as a prevention cost. And prevention cost, like as you are doing the automation, you are buying the new machine, have a new people are attending this training. Why you are attending? So that you can prevent the defect in the process. You can improve the process. So the effort which we are putting up to maintain a good quality of the product is a part of the prevention cost. Right? Now, after prevention cost, we have the second thing, which is called as an appraisal cost. Appraisal cost means the cost which we have spent in the prevention, still we are not sure that your product or service is meeting the specification or not. And then to find out that it is meeting or not, what do? We do the quality testing, which we call as in quality control. So quality control, when you are doing the testing, checking, rechecking, and making sure before you supply the product or service to the customer, then it is meeting the requirement or not, is called your appraisal cost. During the appraisal, you found something which is not meeting the specification. So what you will do? You will send that for the rework, or you will do the correction. So all the rework and correction, which is the additional effort you are putting up, when you find a product is defective or it has the defect, you are doing the correction, is called as an internal failure cost. Many a time, maybe when you was doing the appraisal, you did not identify those faulty product or the defect in the process, and it reaches to the customer. And when the customer is complaining, right? And maybe customer is complaining and they are saying, like as your product is not meeting, or maybe here external failure, like as prevention. Whenever during the appraisal you did not identify the product, it reaches to the customer, and customer is complaining, customer is returning the product, they are asking for the refund and all. So that is called as an external failure cost. right? Any question? Okay. Yes, Jishan, you can speak.
Yeah, you have written cost of good quality and cost of poor quality. I was just reading an article that this theory was described by the conformities and non-conformities, which is very good alignment. I think it's the same, right?
Your voice is breaking. I could not hear everything, but what I heard about the conformity.
Okay, I think conformities and non-conformities, right? It's the same thing, the cost of good quality and cost of poor quality.
Yes, when you are confirming, you are spending the money to confirm the product is meeting the requirement or not. Then it's a prevention cost or appraisal cost. And in case during the appraisal you found something is not meeting the requirement, means the product is not confirming. If you are finding that internally only doing the rework before it reaches to the customer, or something you could not identify and it reaches to the customer, then it's an external failure cost. Clear, sir?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any more question, people?